Well, for motorists across southern Ontario and parts of the Maritimes, the price of gasoline is dropping. Actually, it's more like a plunge. The price of a litre fell below the dollar mark, averaging just barely under a dollar, 99.9 cents a litre this morning, and that is a drop of 4 cents a litre. And there are predictions it could hit 90 cents a litre before it rises once again. And with us to explain all this morning is Senior Petroleum Analyst Dan McTeague. Dan, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Okay, so how low will she go?
Well, not just yet. We're not a gasoline nirvana just yet. We're looking possibly at another 4-cent increase today into the weekend. But I think the markets generally are going to take into account the fact that we're at the end of driving season. We're converting from more expensive to make summer fuel into less expensive to make winter fuel. That usually drops about 3 cents a litre. The world is oversupplied in oil. That's a story we all know, but so is the same for gasoline. And, you know, save and except disturbances, hurricanes, which we've seen, or perhaps the Fed in the United States making a decision to raise interest rates, which caused the loonie to plummet. All of these things suggest that we are definitely in a sort of downward trend. Will 90 cents on average be the case? It's likely, but there's been so much volatility in the market. It's really a day-to-day sort of analysis that gives you these kind of determinations.
So is it a situation where it is going to keep going down, maybe to 90 cents, or is it a situation where it may just turn around and go right back up?
Well, it could potentially go up if there are a series of refineries. We've seen a number of them in the United States that have been stricken, and as a result of that, there's been a huge demand increase. Supply has been crimped. These things can stand in the way of decreases, but I wouldn't hold my breath on terms of benchmarking 90 cents as an average for the country. What we're trying to do here at Gas Buddy is to demonstrate that from day to day, we'll give you an advance notice of where it's going to go. Hopefully, it won't be that too long before we get to that level.
And so should they scramble before the weekend, or do you think that this trend is going to continue right through the weekend, that they have a little bit of time to get their gas?
Well, the markets are showing more indication of upward pressure on gasoline. I think today is the day to gas up if you happen to be in Eastern Canada. And Western Canada, look for prices to continue to drop gently. Same thing for British Columbia and the lower BC mainland.
And does this happen every year at the end of summer? Is this just a normal cyclical thing, or is there something special this year?
No, I think this time of year, although we've seen demand in the United States rise to levels we haven't seen since 2007, we're now seeing, of course, a bit of a rise as you head towards the final stretch of, of summer. Refineries then start to make decisions to turn around. Those turnarounds tend to see supplies drop, although many of them had the opportunity to build up inventory. We haven't seen that this year. The inventory level is adequate. It's not over the top, and as a result of that, I think there's a good likelihood that if we see any kind of disturbances, especially with the financial involvement of so many paper speculators, if you will, in the market, anything can trigger enthusiasm. Yesterday, the stock market rally has nothing to do with equity, with the energy markets. Drove energy prices up, and as a result, the 4-cent a litre decrease that we're seeing in places, for instance, in Ontario or Toronto, will be completely erased. And so by Saturday, you're going to see prices go right back up. It's going to be that kind of struggle and tug of war, at least for the next couple of weeks.
And just very briefly, I mean, we all know about what's happening with oil prices.
Sure.
Do oil and gas prices really stick right close together, or is there just a loose correlation between those?
Well, they were very much connected at a time when oil loomed large, and it was really the gold standard, $100 a barrel. The fact is that's brought in oversupply. The same cannot be said for gasoline, especially in a country like Canada that has, in some respects, in many regions, a gasoline deficit. We rely on the United States for our gasoline to a large extent. More importantly, we have to pay for it in U.S. dollars. We know the Canadian currency has not been very strong. Worse, the Americans, too, are having quite a peak in demand, and as a result, they can't supply us that extra, those additional barrels of gasoline, or in this case, gallons of gasoline.
Dan McTeague, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dan.